Hey everybody, welcome to the ExoCast. These are your breaking news headlines for today. According to multiple reports, the U.S. has struck an Iranian military site. The officials told Reuters that the target posed a threat to forces and Hormuz traffic. Drones launched from Iran were also intercepted today. Iran's semi-official Fars news agency reported that 3 explosions were heard to the east of Bandar Abbas, a strategic port city. The U.S. is pulling military forces away from NATO as President Trump pressures Europe to defend itself without relying so heavily on Washington. The shift marks a major step back from America's traditional role in the alliance. Despite the move, traders predict only a 9% chance the U.S. will withdraw from NATO before 2027. This was written by Polymarket on Instagram. The U.S. law enforcement warned of anti-tech extremism as AI hatred grows. As Americans stew over the looming risk of job stealing AI and data centers in their backyards, the feds are raising the alarm about a new category of threat, documents obtained by Wired show. Are we going to have more problems with this? Let me know in the comments. The Department of Justice is said to open a criminal inquiry into E. Jean Carroll over Trump lawsuits. The investigation is said to center on whether Ms. Carroll committed perjury, that's lying in court, in civil lawsuits against Donald Trump, whom she accused of sexual assault, according to the Washington Post. CNN stated earlier that U.S. President Donald Trump said he won't be rushed into a deal, warning that Iran's efforts to outlast him won't work because he, quote, doesn't care about the midterms. According to Iranian state television, the memorandum of understanding being negotiated between Iran and the U.S. would lift the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports in return for the reopening of the strait to pre-war levels. The White House said the report is untrue. Israel carried out strikes against what it described as over 150 infrastructure sites for Iran-backed Hezbollah across southern Lebanon. Here's one that'll give you a kick. NBC News had stated that Jill Biden said she thought that Joe Biden was, quote, having a stroke during the 2024 debate. The former First Lady had previously praised Biden's performance in the June 2024 debate that led to his dropping out of his presidential race. What do y'all think about that? Do you think he was having a stroke during the debate? Speaking of memorandums of understanding, one was signed yesterday in Algiers between the Maritime Works Group, or GTM, and the China Harbor Engineering Company, or the CHEC as it's also known, for the establishment of a joint venture responsible for dredging works at national ports and all related operations. The deal was signed at the Ministry of Public Works under the supervision of Minister Abdelkader Jalawi. The partnership is intended to strengthen bilateral cooperation in dredging operations across Algeria's national ports, particularly through the restoration of regulatory depth levels at docks, harbor basins, nav channels, and port entrances. According to the officials, these works will also improve ports' efficiency, support commercial shipping, and boost the economic performance of Algeria's maritime infrastructure. So we're seeing a buildup there in Algeria. The FBI arrested a CIA official with $40 million in gold bars in his home. The only charge lodged against David Rush is that he inflated his academic credentials and obtained military leave pay worth tens of thousands of dollars. Here's a big one. BBC stated that former U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who was removed from her role last month, has been diagnosed with thyroid cancer. This comes before she is set to testify on the Epstein files this Friday. Her diagnosis came shortly after President Trump ousted her from the post of America's top law enforcement officer. According to the BBC's U.S. partner CBS News, Bondi, age 60, told CBS she is undergoing treatment, which included surgery a few weeks ago. She is continuing to work despite the diagnosis and will be joining the White House's new Advisory Council on Artificial Intelligence, the Presidential Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. Keep Pam Bondi in your prayers for health and wellness. Bloomberg had stated that China is to invest $1.1 billion into Serbia for AI, robots, and car purposes. Reuters stated that a study said that any conflict over Taiwan would risk United States-China nuclear escalations, although I think we already understood that geopolitical tension years ago. Nothing new there. And finally, Space Daily stated that China has just sent stem cell grown structures resembling early human embryos to its space station. The first experiment of its kind in orbit to find out whether humans can actually reproduce beyond Earth. On May 10th, 2026, a Long March rocket lifted off from the Wenchang Space Launch Site on China's southern coast, carrying the Tianzhou 10 cargo spacecraft toward the Tiangong space station. So those are your breaking news headlines for today and tonight. Follow along and hit that notification bell if you want to see more updated and breaking news. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye for now.